Kita pada ini, pemerintahan kita pada hari ini untuk menentukan kejayaan negara kita pada masa datang.
Ini kawan saya, kita ada Mazlan ada ke ketua muda? Ada. Ini betul. Dan majlis yang kita ada golongan ibu bapa, golongan remaja saya nampak, dan tu golongan kanak-kanak, golongan yang kecil ni bilangannya lebih kurang sama rata. Ini first time saya dalam sejarah saya. Jadi pasal apa saya seronok, itulah kalau tuan-tuan perempuan tahu, itulah perjuangan saya. Saya ditanya berkenaan dengan manifesto pembangkang. Jadi saya buat manifesto pembangkang kerana apa saja kita nak buat, there must be a basis. We cannot be introducing something and then not looking at the parameters. Jadi kita macam mana lah ucapan saya tadi, kita nak capai 2020, we have got 5 years the development plan, 2010 up to 2015, 2016 onward up to 2020. So based on that 5 years plan, 2020 10 years plan, 10 melaksanakan Malaysia ke-10 dan melaksanakan Malaysia ke-11, we believe we can achieve kita punya vision 2020. So every year we prepare the budget, kita prepare to budget every year. The budget ni mesti budget yang realistic based on the parameters. That means how much the income that kita collected, and then berapa perbelanjaan kita nak laksanakan untuk mencapai pertumbuhan. Jadi kita will be governed by kita punya operating expenditure must be surplus, kita punya deficit must reduce. Kita plan to reduce now this year 4%, 2015 3%, then less and less. Debt GDP ratio must not be more than 55% debt to GDP. So manifesto pembangkang ni is merely a promise, promise that it cannot be fulfilled, because if you want to fulfill that means we got to borrow more. Sampai bila kita nak buat borrowing kita, kita punya kedudukan kita, kalau this year kita target deficit 4%, it will increase to 11.5%. In terms of the loan, this year kita projected to borrow 39 billion. That is for development purposes only. Dia akan perlu pinjaman sebanyak 115 billion ringgit. Kalau sekarang saya kata kita mesti ada operating surplus, kita punya operating surplus 6.7 billion. Dia punya operating deficit 66.14 billion. That means this is something that you cannot do. That means kalau you nak buat, you got to borrow. Kalau you borrow with the deficit of 11.5%, that will cause the rating agency to downgrade kita punya rating. And the systemic effect, that means we very hard for us to borrow in the future, and our borrowing, the government, the GRC, the private sector, cost of borrowing will be very high, and then that will cause less foreign direct investment and less private domestic investment will invest in our country. There will result kita punya ekonomi menguncup, sampai kepada peringkat will increase our pengangguran, and then even to the extent of to save kita punya expenditure, gaji kerajaan pun kena potong, like what is happening now in some of the countries within the EU under the present economic crisis. So I made a statement. I do not want the opposition just to make promises. You bagi group ni happy, group ni happy, but in the end it cannot be done, and they won't be able to do it. And in fact, kalau kita tengok dia punya sejarah, even in Selangor, they promised the last election 208, but they didn't fulfill. That means they have got the track record of not fulfilling. They just made promises for them to get the power.